And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. We were going to have special guest Deshaun Blunt to help us preview the Pistons, but unfortunately, for some reason, he has not shown up yet. So
He knew
we're
we
gonna
read it. He knew we read his place, so he decided not to show.
well, for some reason he might have attended to other matters, but anyway, we got Lions to
That
talk
was
about. We got Lions to talk about the Wolverines and their news on sign stealing, more Mel Tucker news developing, and we got some Red Wings and a little bit of Pistons as well as they started their season with a 1 point loss in Miami and South Beach. So let's get to the Lions first. The Lions, they got absolutely routed by the Baltimore Ravens, 38-6 at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. We predicted a closer game than this, but the Lions just weren't ready. But Lamar Jackson is him, and he's got a lot. He's got lots of weapons to use, and he proved it right there. While the offense had just had a terrible game. But I'm going to let the offense off the hook on this one. Yeah, yes, Lamar Jackson is a star. Their defense just had a tough time. Pass rush was doing all they can while the secondary was just standing around relying on the pass rush to do the work itself. And that's what led to this rout. 38-6. At least Jahmyr Gibbs finally scored his first NFL touchdown to prevent the shutout. So Ed, Dan Campbell after the game said he hates when that happens, but he says it recenters and refocuses the Lions, and I and believe me, he's clearly right.
he's on the money, and there's a good reason why. Because honestly, this gave me flashbacks and shades of the Carolina game last year of how again on the road, um, different environment of what we're used to seeing, and just like from the get go, the team just not being able to get into a good rhythm. That's exactly what we saw here in Baltimore. The fact that the Ravens, what they scored on their first four drives, says it all. In fact, that the Lions couldn't get a first down before the Ravens had scored their fourth touchdown. Really speaks in a snapshot of how this game went. You mentioned Lamar Jackson. Frankly, he looked like he was in his vintage MVP form. He had 357 yards. He had three touchdowns through the air, one on the ground, a passer rating of near 156. It was an example of, yes, the defense you mentioned, the pass rush not getting home, the secondary for some reason giving up soft coverage. I would attribute it to, for some reason, them wanting to follow a certain game plan because it looks similar to how they played against Seattle, how they played in some spots, for instance, against Kansas City. This conservative at times, somewhat zone, somewhat man. This I just didn't agree with. I think they should have abandoned it. At least, if not early, if not after the Seattle game, then certainly they should after this game, because I would rather live with the results of just being my usual aggressive self than the result that I saw ended up happening. Because yeah, oh Lamar, was only limited to just 36 or so rushing yards. Yeah, that's because he was too busy carving up the defense in the secondary. So he didn't need to focus on his dual threat capabilities because the way that the defense was performing around, yes, I do agree, Taylor, they deserved their fair share of criticism and how, again, they weren't able to set the tone. But I got to disagree with you on some point where the offense, they deserve their fair share of blame. If you don't get a first down until you're down 28 nothing, that's on you. You didn't get the momentum going. You couldn't move the chains. And by the way, by not getting first downs and thus having short drives, you're putting your defense, who's already given up points and is what already tired and gassed, you're putting them back out on the field. That's not fair to them. That's not beneficial to them at all. And you got to work on that if you're this Lions offense in terms of figuring out, okay, we're in a situation like this, like again. if you see how the other team is going, you have to know that you have got to match them score for score. And they just did in this regard, in this instance, and it let them get them blown out. You got to remember, this is not Greg Roman calling plays for Baltimore anymore. This is Monken. He's a different OC. Um, this was the game plan in terms of Lamar getting the ball out of his hands quick. Played right into what the Ravens want to do. They were in picture perfect shape. You might as well say they studied what Michigan had done to Michigan State the night before. We'll get to that in a little bit while. But there's nothing else that I can complain about what the Lions could have done better. Other than, yeah, it was a bad game. It was off game. Coach Campbell takes accountability and saying that, you know what, we failed. I failed to get the team prepared, and like, okay, acknowledge it, bury it, but then also remember, yeah, you need it for refocusing because, yeah, processes like this do not come overnight. And you got to remember, even though fans want to be all, jumping off the bandwagon, be all doom and gloom, trying to make more drama out of James Williams, you got to remember, JMO was not the only one who played bad. The whole team played bad. Okay, so stop singling out JMO for your bullshit narratives. But anyway,
Yeah.
back in terms of look the bigger picture here. Look at the bigger picture. Last year, this team started 1-6. This year, after 7 games, they are 5-2. They are first place in their division, and they're what, one of the top 3 or 4 records in the NFC. I'll take that all
Yeah.
day, every day, and knowing that you have a much more winnable game coming up at home and before the bye week, you still have all the momentum in my view to carry out to at least ride this out to a much better bounce back heading into the bye.
Yeah. And by the way, Deshaun Blunt has just received my message, the my message with a link to the StreamYard studio. So after we talk Lions, we can let him in.
That's
By the
more than
way,
fine. Get
by the way,
acceptance.
the
Yeah.
the Lions got lucky that the Packers lost to the Broncos 19-17. So the Packers,
Yeah.
with the Vikings beating the 49ers, the Packers fall to third place. The Vikings overtake second place, 3-4. The Packers 2-4. Then the Bears 2-5.
Yeah, and so with this stretch of games coming up for the Lions, you still have a chance to pad the lead. Knowing, by the way, with these next 4 games, one of 3 of these are going to be coming after the bye. 2 of these are divisional games. This is what I remember what I told you over the summer. This is how you bank um, your lead within the division, potentially win it by winning games within the division. What Lions when they went what 5-1 this year? I think the goal is to do better than that. So as long as you win your interdivisional games, that's going to be all the spacing, all the gap room that you need to win this division. That will
Yep.
make the difference right then and there with those head to heads, those tiebreakers. Even if it comes down to a narrow lead or a narrow record, or you guys determine, tiebreakers in this, the head to heads will tell it all for you.
Yeah. So the Lions, they're on Monday Night Football on ESPN and ABC. They're at Ford Field on Monday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Lions favorites by 8.5.
Mm. It's even rising because the line started at 7.5. Now it's up to 8.5. I don't know
Yeah.
what this says about the Lions or what this says about the Raiders, but I gotta say, I would keep my eye on that line because that could be a potential trap. Just saying. But in terms of what the Lions need to do better in this game, it's simple. You must reestablish quarterback pressure. No, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter who's going to take the snaps behind center for Las Vegas. It could be Jimmy Garoppolo. It could be someone else because Jimmy G is still dealing with his back injury. Could be a rookie in Aiden O'Connell. It could be perennial career journeyman Brian Hoyer, former Spartan. You got to prepare for any and all circumstance, any and all scenario. But no matter who is the starting quarterback on Monday night, you've got to reestablish pressure on the QB. Okay, and knowing that you have a guy on the other side of the field with the Raiders who can do that, and Max Crosby, who I'll get to in a second. Knowing that he has that potential game wrecking ability, you have got to let everyone know that hey, we are the ones setting the tone in that regard. With guys like Hutchinson and Kaminsky and everyone else on that front seven, Dan got they must he probably should do a much better job in terms of getting to the quarterback, getting hits, getting sacks. Um, this is a much weaker offensive line that you're facing here than what you're facing against Baltimore. I mentioned Max Crosby before. He's got over 40 or so QB pressures, 43 to be exact. He and Hutchinson are at the top and at that respective category and for a reason. And the matchup of him against Panay Sewell one on one will probably be one of my most impactful matchups or X factors to look at throughout this game. Watch out, see how Panay deals with him. Um, will be the key to setting the tone of how the Lions' offensive line wants to get to work. Now, all that being said, knowing that what the crowd can and potentially will be, and knowing that this is the last game before the bye, I'm expecting, shall we say, better things than what we saw in Carolina, what we saw in Baltimore.
Yeah. So prediction.
You got a score?
Yep. Well, I'm going to pick the Lions 31 and the Raiders 21.
So you say they're going to win and cover.
Yep.
I think the Lions will win, but I don't know. Something tells me, something about that line just feels fishy to me. I'd say the Lions will probably be a 29-20, 29-23.
Okay.
29-23.
I think it's more fair. Yep. So, Lions and Raiders, Ford Field, Monday night at 8:15 on ESPN on ABC.
Now, if it's 29-21, I'll still take that because it's still an even 8. And I think, like you said, the latest check on the line was 8.5. So either way, it'll either be a push or a cover by the Raiders. So I'm still taking the Lions to win, but Vegas will cover.
Yep. All right. So Deshaun was just joining us, but we'll wait for him. Wide receiver Marvin Jones Jr. has stepped away from the Lions to take care of personal family matters. He hasn't done much for the Lions anyway, but more
No,
importantly,
he had like 5 catches for 35 yards. But more importantly, like you said, Taylor, this is a personal matter, it's a private matter.
Yep.
Coach Campbell reiterated as such. There's not even like because remember, as a result, it was with procedure that he was released from the team. Both parties understood the reason why. It's hard to say. Dan Campbell himself said it's hard to say or look at or even see what this looks like long term. Will he potentially be brought back? We just don't know right now. What we know is it's short term. He needs his personal time to himself. We wish nothing but the best to Marvin Jones and his family.
All right. So a little internet connection troubles on Deshaun's end. That's why we lost it. But oh, there we go. So we're trying to get Deshaun Blunt in as we preview the Pistons season preview.
While also going into tonight's game, season opener in Miami against the Heat.
Yep. So the Pistons trailed by as many as like 13 or 14. They came back only to fall short by just 1 point.
They were actually down by 19 in the fourth
19?
quarter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which makes the comeback even more impressive if you consider things.
Yeah, and Cade Cunningham, back from his previous season-ending shin injury, he scored 30 points and came up with 9 assists.
Yeah, the man was on absolute fire tonight, and he was the key driving force for that behind that comeback effort in the fourth quarter. Granted, yes, he had the chance with the last shot in the game, last play, the ball in his hands, didn't get or set up a good shot. I wouldn't necessarily put that blame on him. Miami defended it well. I would say that the play before, I think Killian Hayes, I don't know what the hell he was doing trying to get that ball to Burks instead of giving it to Cade, who has been on fire at that point. But I digress. I like the fact that they didn't quit, they didn't roll over. They showed that type of attitude that Coach Monty Williams was looking for. I'm absolutely in love with Asar Thompson. I've lost count of how many blocks he had. He probably had He had 3 by himself in the first quarter, which was more than Miami as an entire team. That says something. Um, I did like how they started the game, how they attacked the paint, tried to be intense and physical inside, taking their shots when needed. Isaiah Stewart had his 3-point shot looking good. It's just a matter of too many doggone turnovers. They had 14, 15 turnovers in just the first half alone, and that contributed to their deficit. That was one reason why when Miami got really going in the second half, why they had ballooned that lead because they had already gotten such good cushion based on the turnovers that the Pistons had given them. Once they slowed that down, once they took better care of the ball, only 2 turnovers in the second half. When you saw things become much more clear because the Pistons, frankly, they outplayed Miami. They absolutely outplayed the Heat tonight, in my opinion. But because of those turnovers, putting them in an early hole, and the fact that their youth and experience and as much energy and fire that they have, it shows in key moments and also in situations near the end. They're going to have time. They're going to still have to get used and adjusted to that. But still, I liked what I saw overall tonight, season opener in Miami.
All right, so Chris Osmond says hi. Thanks for tuning into the show. By the way, the Pistons, their next game. Let me look it up.
Well, I already looked at. I got a good look at watching the TV for Pistons live. They got the Hornets on Friday night, and they got the Bulls for the home opener on Saturday.
Yep.
So hopefully they can try and get a win out of that first 3-game stretch. And frankly, with the way that they played tonight, like I said, just take care of the ball, especially when you're on the road. Good things will happen for you.
Yep. Yep. We're still waiting on Deshaun Blount to re-enter the studio. We had him waiting here, but then he lost internet connection. So
we'll keep you updated on that situation, and if necessary, we may potentially just have to move that segment to next week. But we'll keep you all updated throughout the episode.
Yep. So please bear with us. A little technical difficulty. Anyway, the Michigan Wolverines are just on the right track. They humiliated the Michigan State Spartans 49-0 in East Lansing, and then they take their idle week this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, it was frankly in terms of on due timing, the circumstances, the storylines, everything, the narratives that was surrounding the whole atmosphere of that game. And to see it being followed up with the performance that they had, it was without question their best performance as a whole entire unit of the season. The way that the offense was able to just control the clock and the tempo and just slowly but surely, body blow after body blow using runs by Blake Corum, setting things up with passes out to your tight ends like Barner and Loveland. JJ McCarthy, and we'll get to young JJ in a moment, but him just showing so much more advanced development. Whether or not you believe Harbaugh's claims of he's showing Denard's running ability, Ricky Leach's Ricky Leach's winning, Chad Henning's passing ability, Denard Robinson's running ability. He was combining different attributes of past Michigan quarterbacks. But he's starting to prove that quotable quite right. How he's performed throughout the season, and even if you count that bad performance against Bowling Green, he still has only 3 interceptions of the whole year. And then when you follow that up, how he performed against Michigan State, 21 of 27, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns, a passer rating of 216, and 0 turnovers, improved mobility, better decision making. Precise. Even seems to have better zip and accuracy on his ball this year. The way he was firing it in the red zone, he's on a different level. He's basically performing on levels that we haven't seen a quarterback do a Jim Harbaugh college team offense since maybe Andrew Luck. It's getting to that territory, and it shows. Whether or not you think it's earned or not, but you're seeing why, especially based on the other teams and the other contenders seemingly falling apart around him. This is why J.J. McCarthy is not only in the running, but he may as well as be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy, and that's saying something.
Yeah, and we've been hearing this. So Deshaun has his laptop. It has his laptop and his phone, but yeah, we've been hearing about J.J. McCarthy being a heavy favorite for the Heisman Trophy
Yeah, and
as of late.
that's due to his consistent play, him being the lead catalyst of this team that has not lost a step the whole entire season. And frankly, also the other candidates, like I mentioned before, starting to fall apart at the seams around him. Michael Penix Jr. He followed up that magnificent performance and that classic against Oregon with an absolute stinker. And then Caleb Williams, please, you can forget about his cases of trying to go for a back-to-back Heisman. How he looked against Utah, my goodness. So with things are looking, as long as JJ keeps it up, and he still has what, two, if not three more showcase games, I would say, to really show the voters or show the media or show the combination of why he, at the very least, bare minimum, deserves an invitation to New York. I would say he has that chance because between Penn State, I would even say Maryland, and then of course Ohio State, that's two, if not three games to really seal and show and showcase your, if you want to, showcase why you deserve the Heisman. I know JJ has been saying in press conferences, saying this week, saying, I don't care about trophies, I just care about rings and my team winning championships, and that's nice. But the way he's playing right now, and if he keeps it up, you know, if he shows out or comes up clutch, comes up big against Penn State, against Ohio State, and then potentially in the Big Ten championship again this year, frankly, he not only will deserve a shot at a seat at the table in New York, you can argue he damn near deserves a potentially. He may very well be the favorite to win it,
Yep.
and that's a
So
credit to him. That's a credit to this offense, and that's also a credit to this defense. That frankly, they're playing like the way the levels that they're approaching. It's near generational levels. They're the top scoring defense in the nation by far. They have yet to allow a single snap inside of their own 10-yard line this season. They have scored almost as many touchdowns as they have allowed, which is saying something. They've given up 5 touchdowns. They have scored 4, courtesy of pick sixes, which we got another one thanks to Mike Sanders still getting his second of the year. And of course, speaking of interceptions, Jaden McBurrows, who was at the center of the tunnel gate incident last year. How about him? Kudos to him of putting that incident behind him by getting an interception in this game. So this defense, it was just uh, sensational because it battered Caden Hauser up. They refused to let Trey Mosley get involved, and even though Carter, the running back, was seemed like to be the only player with a pulse for MSU for most of the night, and also a couple of guys on the defense for Burley, for example. But other than that, total domination on all fronts by the Wolverines. Expected, but my goodness, I don't think even people expected 49-0. And granted, you make an argument, it probably should have been 56-0 if they had allowed that last touchdown at the end of the first half. So that's
yeah,
saying something.
10-second runoff was just something made up.
It was weird. It was just weird. But you know what? I like the fact that Harbaugh was in total red ass mode because even though it was 28-0, he still wanted to go for that last second touchdown at the end of the half. So I liked seeing that from him.
Yep, and Michigan really deserves that idle week. And we're now getting word from Deshaun that he won't be able to join us
Hmm.
because he is planning to rejoin us this weekend, Saturday night after the Pistons home opener against the Chicago Bulls. By the way,
Okay,
and we agreed on it. So
that's fine. We can just rendezvous it up to there. That's fine by me.
all right, so yep, we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back here with another episode this Saturday just to preview the Pistons with Deshaun Blunt.
Or go over
So
the Pistons since the season started, but go over the key points, storylines, and expectations that we have for them for this season.
yep, yep. Okay, so I'm going to remove this from LinkedIn here. Just remove it. Oh, yeah, I got to reconnect the friggin' thing. Yeah. Anyway, our top story anyway is the Michigan Wolverines getting caught. Their scouting staffer Connor Stallions by name, from what we heard just recently, bought tickets for games with college football playoff contenders like Georgia and Alabama and other teams like Ohio State, buying after investigation for alleged sign stealing. So we thought it was only scouting, but I guess we were wrong.
It's also it appears that way on the surface when you look at the headline, but once you get into the details of the story, you found out this is more so this at the on the surface looks like a lot of concerned effort from a fan, from a booster or a fan that was clearly very much obsessed and dedicated to all things Michigan, that he wanted to go see this through. Now, how this connects to Jim Harbaugh, the evidence as presented so far and as we've seen so far still does not connect Jim Harbaugh to this. That's the important thing we have got to get out. Reports that have mentioned this don't are not, and by the way, purposely, by the way, they're not explaining or showcasing this loud enough. That, hey, at the moment this is circumstantial. All this, while understandably has bad optics, it still is not a direct connection to Jim Harbaugh. And frankly, at this point, despite all of this, the only thing that Michigan's guilty of is the fact that right they had an in-person scouter at games during the season, which is a rule that they should not have broken. So that's it. But even still, based on what the NCAA has done with the investigations to other teams and other sports, and frankly, in my view, this is them trying to find a way to uh, make themselves look more decent after the whole burger suspension that only resulted in 3 games being served by Harbaugh. Now, all this is coming about. Now, I know you're going to hear the noise from rival fan bases saying, well, this should be this, and wishing all doom and naysaying things. But I'll just say this in regards to this whole scandal and everything. I am not condoning, nor am I advocating for what Michigan is alleged to have done in this whole situation. Let me just be first and foremost with that. That being said, the reaction I've seen from online Twitter users and certain local slash national slash certain affiliated media people versus what I've seen from actual football people and coaches and former players and analysts, guys like Jeff Saturday, guys like Robert Griffin, guys like Deion Sanders. The reaction is polar opposite from what I've seen from these other media folk that think, oh, Michigan, they should be burned at the stake. Wins should be vacated. Harbaugh's going to be gone. Just relax. Go outside and touch some grass for a second, okay? Because what it all boils down to, more than anything, they're going to be if it comes down to anything, Michigan will be put on a probation of sorts, and if there is a punishment of some kind, it will probably be amount to what we saw similar to what we hear for Harbaugh. What, 3 games? They'll probably spend it to what, 4 next year, whatever the case. Now, this is all some kind of thing to get Harbaugh frustrated to where he may just end up leaving Michigan. We'll see where that leads. But if I am the staff, whether it be if I'm Ward Emanuel or if I'm President Uno, to me, I'm putting that as this classifying that as rat poison. I'm brushing that to the side, and I'm focusing on making sure that my head coach gets ready for his extension. That would be my main concern at this point.
Yep. Yep. Deion Sanders says you still got to earn the victories, and he's got
Right?
to.
You can get
Yeah, he's
all the
definitely
game
got to
plan
play.
and all the game film you want. You still got to know how to stop it. Okay. And there's another thing that people are not mentioning or conveniently forget to mention. Ohio State was saying they were aware of this last year, and they still changed up their signs. And guess what? The ass beating that they got at Columbus was worse than the ass beating that they got at Ann Arbor. So what does that tell you?
Yep. Michigan still won fair and square. So, another developing story: Michigan State hearing officer rules that former MSU football head coach of the Spartans, Mel Tucker, sexually harassed Brenda Tracy, according to an AP source. So, we want to at least mention that to you guys. Um,
Yeah, give the
yep, Mel
update on
Tucker
that.
was officially labeled a liar.
Well, based on research and the investigations and more evidence that came as a result, I believe it's come to my understanding that one of those key pieces of evidence regarding Mel Tucker doing a FaceTime call with his shirt off. Yikes! We all know
Mm.
about the phone sex incident among other things. Apparently, he was also trying to set up a personal solo meeting after a practice with Miss Tracy. So again, regardless of with who Mel Tucker was doing these actions with, if he was doing this with any other woman that was, especially with someone that was not affiliated with the university, I would say, hey, it's still funny. He's still an idiot, and it still makes his team look bad. But hey, I can't go much further. But the fact is, with this person, who has her own specific past traumas, and regardless of if you think she's credible or not, that is still legitimate of what happened to her, and also knowing the circumstances and the optics that this would give you, and yet you still follow through on it. That makes you a complete and absolute moron, and you still deserve to get fired with cause, which is what Michigan State proved.
Yeah. So, yeah, both. Yeah, both. Well, Mel Tucker's already been fired, but now he's facing. He may face legal trouble too.
We'll see. I mean, it just still comes down to a matter of how much money can or will he be able to sustain or recover from this, because we know Michigan State's going to be as tight knit as possible, because Tucker is going to be still going to be responding with his own lawyers and his own evidence and so on and so forth. But still, um, this was still a major decision that was announced, deserves to be acknowledged, and the sooner that we are putting this mess behind us, not talking about Mel Tucker ever again in Michigan State, the better. I think as a Wolverine fan speaking on this matter, I think Michigan State fans will wholeheartedly agree with me on this.
Yep. Just a second. All right. So Spartans are 2-5. They're pretty much done. They're they play
They'll be
Minnesota. They
lucky to
play
get the
Minnesota
5 wins.
next.
They'll be lucky to get the 5 wins. That's it. They're done.
Uh, I'll be fair and say they get like 3 or so.
I was gonna say
Just
get the
kidding.
6, but you can just 5. It seems. Come on, man. Can you not get the 5 wins? Is that not possible with this team? That was even before your coach decided to put a bullet in it in the season himself.
Right.
Oh my goodness. There's
I
no
know,
way this
right?
team. There's no way this team should be finishing 2-10. I actually feel legit sorry. I feel bad for Holland Barnett. I know I've made my fair share of jokes here on the show and probably retweeted some things on Twitter, but still, I do feel bad for the guy because he's looking out there. He's standing on the sideline. He looks absolutely helpless and in over his head. He got players around him showing no discipline, showing no respect, no class, spearing penalties. unnecessary late hits because what you're getting your asses whipped 2 years in a row, especially on your home floor, especially on your home field after everything that's happened. Hey, I get the frustration, but still, low points, and that's not even talking about what they were showing on the friggin' scoreboards with their trivia questions.
Yeah,
My
I know.
goodness.
Yep. That I heard about too. The Hitler stuff being on that
Yeah,
jumbotron. Oh
a
God.
Hitler trivia question that asked where he was born, but still, they showed a full image of him,
What does that have to do
especially
with
knowing,
anything?
but it's the optics and the timing of why they would show this at all, but especially now with regards to with the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine, again, or Israel and Hamas, however you want to look at it. So knowing that and still deciding to post that is beyond idiotic. It's beyond idiotic, and the person who was ever behind that decision, they should deserve to lose their job today. Period.
All right. Yep, that's true. The Red Wings, last but not least, definitely not
Yeah,
least.
let's close with more positive things for once.
Yeah, 5 points in their last week. They got one in Ottawa, 5-2, 6-2 easily over the Calgary Flames, and then they just fall apart in the second period. Too many giveaways, too many mistakes. Second and even third period, even after that comeback early in the third, 3 goals given up in the second period, especially. Yeah, yeah. You definitely can't use the referee's excuse. I'm sorry to Red Wings fans, but of course, the penalty minute comparison was Seattle 14 penalty minutes and Detroit 12 minutes. And the Kraken still beat your ices in the second period, and they came back to win it like over a minute to go to tie it up, and then win it with five and change seconds left in overtime. You failed to get the job done. Yes, you got a point, but he should have picked up two. The Kraken were 1-4-1 going into that game last night. That's the thing that pisses me off.
Yeah,
But
but
Alex DeBrincat, 9 goals in 7 games. That is
I was
impressive.
gonna
That's why the
say,
Wings signed him. But really,
I, I was gonna say, yeah, but can you really get pissed off at something, especially this early in the season? Right, look at how they
no.
started, dude. They're what, a top two, top three record in the East. They're leading they're at
11
the top of their
points.
division.
More
Right,
points than
they're
the
at the top of their
Bruins.
division. Right, leading their division. You mentioned the Brinkett. He's got 9 goals, which is the most in the league. He's got 13 points, which is only 1 point behind his teammate Dylan Larkin, who, by the way, is also tied with the most points in the league. This combination between captain and the cat, it's been exceeding our expectations. I thought for sure, it might take it a couple games, get some rhythm and chemistry going. Nope, it's been instant. And the way DeBrinket's playing, he's going to score 40 easily. And it's not just the Brinkett that's being that I'm seeing showing off his work here. It's other new additions and other veterans as well that has been showing up and showing out. Where it be Spear with his 9 points. He's the third. He's the next highest on the team after Larkin and DeBrinket. Where it be Lucas Raymond, who his production and contribution of playing on that first line with DeBrinket and Larkin. He's got 5 points. Polano's got 4 goals. Kopp has
Yeah.
3 goals. Perron has his own contribution. So it's just,
Spear
you
got
know,
one.
right.
Oh, he's
Gossier
got
got
more than
one.
one.
Right. Even Petrie's has got a couple assists.
Yeah.
So you're seeing contributions from everyone on damn near every line, but most importantly, the power play has been so supremely improved. They've scored 34. I think it was like going into the game against Seattle, they had scored 34 goals, which was the most in the league, and
Yeah.
also had a percentage clip of 41.4%, which is second in the league to only New Jersey. So remember what we talked about last year of how god awful their power play was. Well, that's been the key, one of the key, if not the biggest key reason behind their success, behind their hot start. That improved power play, and of course, the new additions or key new addition specifically being more than capable of this performance. being more capable performances, you have efficient goaltending. You have goaltending depth. Vele Huso, he's been showing to me he'll be more than a reliable starting goaltender for you guys. Got a save percentage near 900. He ranks top 3 or 5 in my.
What's his goal
last
against
I checked.
average?
It's 3.38. It's 3.38. So it's top
Could
three,
be better,
top
but
five.
it's okay.
It's okay, and and I think that it was a little bit better before he gave up 5 against Seattle, but still, it's. I've seen him make big plays and make big saves in key moments. Trust me,
Right.
he still has potential to even go better. And once you
He
have
also needs
a
help.
backup, yeah, I wouldn't say help. It's just a matter of
Teamwork.
yeah, better cohesion. But also when you have a backup in Raymer, who's being more than cool and calm about he's stopping shots and stopping goals and everything. His save percentage, granted, small sample size, it's over 960. He's got 2 wins in 2 games played. He's only allowed 2 goals, and his first appearance was a shutout. So knowing that you have a capable backup um, behind your number one in Russo is very important to know. Very important to know, if you're
Yeah. So the Red Wings, they're home against the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow. And then on Saturday, they're in Boston against the Bruins. The question is, are they ready to for that big battle in Beantown?
That's a
And then
nice litmus
Monday,
test.
yep. And then next Monday in Long Island against the New York Islanders, about the same time, almost the same time as the Lions kick off against the Raiders.
Mm.
And then they have just a short 2-game homestand against the Florida defending Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins next Thursday and Saturday, November 2nd and 4th, before they head to the Madison Square Garden to play the New York Rangers on TNT on Tuesday, the 7th of November.
Right. That early exposure. And
All
trust
right.
me, once more national exposure is being paid attention to how well the Wings are performing. If they keep it up, you'll be getting that attention to saying, "Hey, Red Wings are back. Are they back?" Because
Check.
we've known of how dormant that this franchise has been for a while, and so hearing hockey pundits and hockey talking heads mentioning about this potential resurgence for the Red Wings could be something to keep an eye on if they keep this run up.
Yeah, check. Yeah, just a quick check on the standings. The Bruins are now at 12 points. It's 6-0 and 0, 1 point up on the Wings now. It's been a battle between the Bruins and Wings for first place in the not so Atlantic division.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
would like to call it, because it's a mess, because it's like messed up the way it's still been aligned since 2013.
yeah,
The
Saturday
Wings
should be a big
5-1 and
game.
1 with 11 points.
Yeah, Saturday should be a big game.
Yeah. So absolutely. So what all did we learn tonight? This week?
Well, we learned that the Lions still need refocus. They still need better commitment in certain areas. They have also to remember that they've not
Especially the
arrived. They still.
secondary. Again, can't just rely on the pass rush. You got to do your own job.
I will say it didn't hurt. It didn't help that Jerry Jacobs got hurt right before the game. That didn't help. But that's
Right.
still no excuse, I will admit. But still, you got to look at the consideration. And to me, with the
Right.
trade deadline coming up, you got to see if try to make a move on that secondary. In my opinion, that's more important. Get someone to help with the secondary with the pass rush. If you're going to make a move, that's the move to make. What we learned about this whole Michigan scandal: is it a scandal? Is it really? No, it isn't. If
No.
something really deep and
Not big, to say the
nefarious
least.
comes up, sure, but I doubt it. It's just a matter of will this be a potential force as to whether or not Harbaugh will be the coach next year. That's only the only potential long term lasting effect I see this happening. What will it go towards whether or not Harbaugh will be coach next year? That's all. Um, But other than that, they're still on a focused mindset. They still believe they can perform even better than what they showed last Saturday against Michigan State. And frankly, they are performing with the mindset that hey, yeah, we got unfinished business. We got a story to finish. We want that national championship. And as for the for Pistons, I will say that as long as you show how better ways and more focused ways to control that exciting energy that you have, you'll be not only be playing better, you'll be winning more as a result. Because we know, listen, this was a team that somehow won 17 games. The way that I know that they're not the best currently constructed, but with the guys that they have now, especially with the coaches that they brought in, there's no way in hell. It'll be absolutely embarrassing if they finish near or at that same win total amount again this season. So I'm expecting a lot more better effort in that result for the Pistons. And for the Red Wings, frankly, hey, hot start. Can you keep it up? We'll see. The Brinkett and Larkin look to be one of, if not, in my opinion, the best duo in the league. And you have a supremely improved power play. And in my view, you have depth with your goaltending. All those things considered, and
Husso and Reimer.
yeah, when you combine all those factors together, and knowing that you're seeing the seeds starting to slowly show itself with this whole Eisner plan thing, guys like Sider being contributors as well. Don't think I didn't forget about Mo. So guys like that as well, in addition to your captain and your big main free agent signing being the centerpieces, yeah, there's nothing you could not have hoped for a better start to the season for the Red Wings.
All right, so that's all of what we've learned for this week's episode. Don't forget, Deshaun Blunt will join us Saturday night after the Pistons' home opener against the Bulls. So, for now, I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on X and Instagram at Michigan_Truth and like its Facebook page. Subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like our videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Follow it and listen to it in audio form on Spreaker. Follow me on X, TikTok, and Instagram at DT2Phillips. Also on YouTube at DT2Phillips and on Twitch DT2Phillips1984. Ed Smith on X, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at EdSmith313. Special shout-outs go to Athletical Physical Therapy on Woodward and Ferndale. The B4 Foundation. I'm rocking out my B4 Foundation long sleeve shirt. I also got bracelets again. Cali tickets. Call Mark Goldman at 877-225-8425 or visit calitickets.com. Hey there, Sports Show. How's it going? Creative embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City. Let's roll with it. Rolled ice cream. The flavor of the week is the caramel apple cinnamon, branded by the Food Mafia. Follow that on TikTok at the Food Mafia LLC. Northern Star Event Rentals in Cadillac, 231-884-8195, and on Facebook. And United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Michigan. Until Saturday night, after the Pistons home opener against the Chicago Bulls at Little Caesars Arena, when we have special guest Deshaun Blunt go deeper on the Pistons' regular season with us. For Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. Thanks for watching the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast and listening in audio form on Spreaker. And remember, we observe and detect the truth about Michigan sports. Stay aware and stay on the lookout, everyone. Ta-ta.
Stay safe, everybody.